Jessica. Now we have to start. What's up? Oh, we walked Matt. Matt didn't want to be a part of Brazzing Jessica. Smart. That guy cares. I can't see if it's recording yet.
I do hear a cricket, literally.
Yeah.
Oh God damn! It's this cricket.
It's like we're back. It's like we're back at the meltdown.
You got to get some fucking raid.
Wow, Greg. Very. You know what?
Yeah, that's unexpectedly inhumane or bug-mane.
I'm trying to get out of my typecast ways. Get some raid. People know I don't mean it. No one.
I do have some natural, flower-based plant bug spray. I'm gonna.
Ladies and gentlemen, Paul Danke is.
Thank you, Greg. You're in charge here.
Is taking care of a cricket, a literal cricket. I begged him not to kill it, but he is out for blood. And welcome to the Green Zoom.
Yay!
Wow, thanks, Greg. You did great.
Thank you. That
cricket is gone.
Well, for now, we'll see if this little devil comes back. Welcome to the Green Zoom, everybody. Greg Bears, thanks for teeing us off. This always happens. The moment a show's about to start, something else happens. Do you hear this cricket? Greg, you're back in charge for a minute. I gotta take care of it.
Ladies and gentlemen, Paul Danke's out of here, so let's get scrunching.
Oh shit!
I stole that from Mary Radford. She said it in the chats, and I was like, brilliant. Well, we have an exciting. I'm terrible host. We have an exciting show today. We have two guests. Kliph is here and Brian is here. Everyone in the chat room say hi, Kliph and Brian. Welcome our guests. And they're going crazy for you too. And Paul, our actual host, is back.
I'm back. Thanks for putting up with me today, everybody. I need a little extra help today. It's one of those. Welcome to our guest, Kliph Nesteroff. How are you doing? Thanks for joining us on In the Green Zoom.
Yeah, of course. This is what show business is now. It's this. This is what show business is now.
I agree with you. And what I love about it is this is the catch-all. Like this, I do stand-up in this little thing, but we take this platform and we put it behind the stage. This isn't a real stand-up show. This is backstage. Other people think this is real stand-up. Not for us. You're in the Green Zoom.
This is dating, taxes. This is talking to your parents. This is, sex now. This is working on your...
This is what I always preferred, though, not sex now, but this is what I always preferred when I was doing stand-up. I never really watched much stand-up when I was doing stand-up. I was, I'd walk out on people's acts more often than I would watch. Or if one of my friends was bombing really hard, then I would definitely go inside and watch. But generally, you knew everybody's act, so you liked hanging out and smoking joints out back and talking about all the people that you despise rather than actually watching any of the shows. So this to me is show business. It's a little bit distant. And Nick Flanagan, I don't remember the last time I saw you, but we did a handful of small shows together at some point, did we not?
I believe that.
Nick Sorry, Flanagan. I had you on in double.
When was the last time you and I did a show together?
When was the last time we did a show together?
Didn't we Didn't we do a show on a roof? Like we were ahead of our time in terms of rooftop comedy.
Well, I think that was the first time we did a show together. It may have been the only time we did a show together. But I think I had you on a show after that. But that was a show where I met you, where I hosted a bad joke competition on a rooftop. Somebody had told me, like I had a friend in common with you.
I don't remember the bad joke part. I feel like I was like,
no. Neither of us.
You weren't informed that that's what it was.
Neither of us were the bad joke tellers necessarily.
I like that it implies the threat of one being thrown off the roof if the joke is bad enough.
Yeah, I can't handle that. I've had too many bad sets to do that. I don't even want to try a regular setup there. Let me introduce our other guest, all the way from New York City. Thanks for joining us, Brian Bahe. How are you doing?
What's up? I'm doing well. How is everybody else?
Hanging in there.
Doing?
Good.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel like everybody's had to come up with a good shorthand answer to that question. I always say hanging tough.
Oh.
And because I think it's funny.
Because you're a big New Kids on the Block fan from way back.
No, I was strictly a Donnie guy, but the other ones I guess were fine.
I can see you being a New Kids on the Block guy though. That tracks for you. I don't know.
They were so good.
It's not a bad thing.
Music and dancing?
and edgy bad boy attitude, which I feel like just doesn't
see
happen
you in
enough.
it for the New Kids NK
OTB.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I almost had an aneurysm.
I just remember there was I don't know what radio station it was, some rock station in my town did this was the song they did. Maybe other stations played this. I just assumed it was the DJs did it. They did New Kids Got Run Over by a Reindeer.
Oh God.
They got him.
And the thing that sticks in my head still is at one point, they deviate from the Grandma Got Run Over by the Reindeer melody, and they start going Danny, Donnie, Jordan, John, and Joe, or was that Larry, Curly, Shemp, and Mo? Oh.
Oh my God. And that's stuck in your brain to this day.
That has informed my sense of humor to this day.
Curly Joe, you're cool. That was what I learned about this.
I have to be up at 5 a.m. tomorrow to do morning radio in Pittsburgh.
Hell
To
yeah.
promote this thing. And I'm pretty sure it's going to be one of those shows. It may be the same show that originated that song that I'm doing tomorrow at 5 in the morning.
Yeah, so now it'll be like Harry Styles, who is this guy? But I don't like him because he's Esther Dubs. You're gonna, and it's probably for you too.
There used to be a guy when I started doing stand-up in Toronto in 1998. There was a guy who came to all the open mics with sound equipment, and they would let him make fart noises after the jokes, or you would do a joke and then you'd hear "dope" out of nowhere.
Oh yeah, that was Earl the Squirrel. Earl the Squirrel was a very well-known. He was the sound guy for
he would ruin
several shows.
Every show that you were on, he would ruin the show.
It was crazy. If you had anywhere near a joke that didn't work, he'd
He'd do it during your set?
Yeah, he'd do
Everybody
drops.
Everybody said you'd be in the middle of your setup and then you'd hear, "Yeah, baby."
Yes, it was crazy. And honestly, this went well into the double aughts probably. I think last year he was doing the sound somewhere. I mean, I haven't seen him in that. He was Earl the Squirrel. What an unsuspicious name. For a guy involved in comedy.
He was always there when I first did stand-up, and I thought, when I first started doing stand-up, I go, I guess that's what stand-up is. You have to put up with sound guys sampling things from movies. Because I didn't know any better. But
yeah, it's not hard enough. Why don't you just throw darts at us while we're at it, too?
It was, that was really a weird thing, because there were some actually very busy shows that he would do sound for, and yet there he was playing "Yeah Baby" and $1 million.
Right now, Nick is playing he's dropping in a dog whining sound.
All right, okay.
Is this a Canadian thing?
There's Gordy.
Even every sound guy still may not do drops during your set, but they will still troll you with your walk-off music. If you mention a song, or God forbid you mention a song and don't do well on that show, you're gonna get walked off. It's so humiliating. It's
I
always
think if you mention a song and they walk you off to it, that's a pro move. Am I crazy?
I remember doing
only if it goes well.
I remember doing a show at a place called the Cadillac Lounge. Do you remember that place, Nick?
Yeah,
sounds fancy.
Total part of Toronto's oddly thriving rockabilly scene.
So it had just
recently
opened.
Closed.
It had
there we go. I said it just recently closed. You said it had just opened.
Yeah,
That's how long we
I'm glad that it closed. I'm glad.
Wow.
The first time I did it had
Cadillacs.
just opened. I was opening for a band, and in the middle of my set, I mean, granted, I think I was pretty terrible at the time, but heard all this noise while I was talking, and it was the radio, like it was static, and it just kept getting louder and louder and louder. And then I looked behind the bar, and I could see the owner of the bar making eye contact with me with his hand on the dial, like doing this with like crazy eyes to drown me out.
Wow.
And that was it. I couldn't even say good night. But
there was this club in Chicago I used to do, and I had a bit where, like, you know, just it was pretty fancy. And like I had a bit where like one of the tags was like, you know, about the fall of civilization will be soundtrack to that Shot, Shot, Shot song. And they knew I did that joke. And so then they would play me on to that song, ruining the joke. And I was like, what the fuck are you doing? And I'm like 2 years in, I have like 10 jokes, you know? Like I can
for 2 years.
It's a tough town.
One of those 10 is your opening song being
that. Right.
There's a show in New York City that like they would let like open micers come and do a set, like, and they would never tell you how much time you got, and it was assumed it was like 5 minutes. And one time I went on, and I think I was probably on stage for like 30 seconds, and the host just like immediately like comes on and is like, "Give it up for Brian, everybody." He's like, no music. I was like, I was to get drowned out by some music.
Yeah, he may as well have been holding a hook, you know, just like dragging
The Sandman.
Has anyone ever been sandmanded off stage by anything?
Sure. Yeah. I was tackled on stage one time.
Really?
Yeah, when I was opening in San Francisco at, I think, Bottom of the Hill. It was a very odd combination of acts. It was my band, my friend's band, me doing comedy, a legendary band called Johnny and the Dudes from the Bay Area. And
did you say dudes or dues?
Dudes, Johnny and the Dudes.
Johnny and the Union Dues.
Yeah,
I like that.
I like this working class.
Awful band.
And then the headliner was Van Stone, which was like that dude Dave Sheridan from he was in Ghost World. He played like the burner guy with the nunchucks in Ghost World.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This and this character, it was very Steel Panther kind of thing. And a fan of Johnny and the Dudes tackled me like hard in the middle of my set, and then I tackled him back, which seems like a very odd.
Nice.
Yeah, and I had guys like guy I was on a show with once. Like we were doing a run of shows, like it was a weird cabaret I'd agreed to do, and one of the other acts like carried me bodily off stage mid-set near the end of the run.
Like in a body manner, or?
No, that'd be awesome if he was like rubbing his crotch and holding me. That's kind of a dream.
I have a question.
Yes.
How soon after the initial tackling did you tackle this dude back? Was it like he tackled you, you got up and immediately tackled him? Or
I think that was it. I think it was an instant response. So that made it weirder, you know? Like it would have been cool and theatrical if he tackled me and then I kind of like went like, did they do this in football where they go like, oh, dove into it.
Well, I think stage combat is such an important part of stand-up comedy that, you know, Judy Gold didn't talk about it in the Comedy Bible. You know, they won't cover that in those 101 courses, but you got to know how to fight somebody. I've never,
That's 102.
I've never had anyone even dare come on stage while I was up there. I've been so.
You look at you. You look like you have a Bowie knife under your coat.
I don't carry a knife with me out in public. That's crazy. Because then you can, you know, then that's like your intent to use a weapon. If you accidentally use it, you could really.
I've seen enough 90s action movies to know that if something goes wrong, you can go to jail. You have to avenge yourself.
No,
And I've got
you have a knife.
I've got tennis elbow. You could wrestle a peach out of my hand. There's nothing I can do
I
about
used to
it.
bring a little knife on stage and do knife bits.
Dude, the first class I was in at UCB, I swear to God, I think this was class number 101. John Daly was the teacher. I wonder if you'd remember.
Wow.
This is so long ago. It was a 2-person scene. The guy and a girl sit down, and they're at a bus stop. And the guy sits down next to the girl, and he just goes, I got a knife. And it was a pretty funny line. And then he legit reaches into his pocket and pulled out a knife. And then we were all kind of like, what the fuck? But it was honest to God really funny because he goes, you called my bluff. And then he just puts the knife back in his pocket. And then Daly's note after the scene was, yeah, next time, don't actually pull out a real knife, just like mime the knife. And he's like, and the kid's like, yeah. I really realized it was a bad idea as soon as I pulled the knife out.
When you go
John
from all
Daly,
things,
go ahead. Sorry.
No, go for it, Gary.
I just wanted to reiterate, John Daly from
Comedy.
Brett Gell from comedy.
Yes.
Yeah. Crack down.
From the comedy scene, John Daly.
I can't believe his only critique was just the object work. Like, he couldn't say like, hey, bro, you made us feel hella unsafe for a minute. It was just, hey, this is improv and you should really be miming.
Well, he still had the knife on him, so he was probably trying to be a bit
That's true.
dramatic.
Yeah.
In the UCB class I took, there was a rule like
terrifying.
No what?
you couldn't bring knives to my UCB class. And
That's why you should have done groundlings.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, this is why Sunset closed. If they if they just had a knife class.
a metal detector.
Yeah, I've always thought the laughter at UCB was a little tense, but now I realize they were just afraid for their lives.
I think UCB Sunset was better set up for sort of like rent a fight club, rent a room setup. There's the pit in the main room. The side annex had a lot of good space for street brawling.
It's
I
completely
think
like
the class that they taught there was improv to a knife fight. How to bring improv to a knife fight, and you just de-escalate the situation by yes-anding.
I went all the way to improv to a knife fight level 5.
Oh my God! All right, we're here today. We've got our guest with us, Kliph Nesteroff. Today is a special day. You've got your new book coming out, or it came out today, so I can't say coming out. It came out today. It's called We Had a Little Real Estate Problem. Tell us about your book.
It's a book about Indigenous people in comedy. Brian, in the bottom of the screen here, is in the book. He's one of the featured comics in the book. It's half history book, half contemporary, sort of explores why Indigenous peoples have been marginalized in general and marginalized from show business, coming from Canada where First Nations issues are sort of on the front pages, and then moving to Hollywood where it's like completely absent was really weird to me. And so the book sort of is all about that, because in Hollywood I hear diversity, and it never includes Native American people or First Nations people. And so this book is supposed to sort of be a bit of a rectify to that. And when I got the book deal, I had been offered a different book deal for a book that was very boring sounding that I didn't want to do, that was about modern comedy. And this one it sounds pretentious, but this one seemed a little bit more meaningful or a little bit more important. And so I took this on instead. And, racism, fascism, and child separation at the border were all on the rise at the time. So I felt like maybe
You wanted to cash in.
Hey, don't worry, they still are.
You felt like you could negotiate a little bit of a higher.
Anyways, I just thought that it would be a more, more important book, I guess.
Yeah.
I mean, it's an amazing topic. It's great.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's the premise behind it. But I talk about Charlie Hill, who was the first and last Native American comedian to perform on The Tonight Show, the first and last Native American comedian to perform on a late night show, period. And right now there's like over 100 different Indigenous stand-up, sketch, and improv comics in North America. So, I feel like people should be a little bit more aware of that.
Did you talk to Ryan McMahon at all?
Yeah, Ryan's in the book, and a bunch of people from Canada are in the book. Dakota Ray Hebert, who's super funny. A guy named Craig Lazan, who you see sometimes rerun on the Comedy Channel in Canada. Yeah, there's about like 40 different people in the book, I guess.
That's awesome.
And
I realized
Who did the title come from? Whose line?
The title comes from Charlie Hill. He did that line when he did the Richard Pryor show in 1977. You can watch it on YouTube. It's a great set. Yeah. But he had two jokes that are like right off the top that just kill immediately. One of them was, "My name is Charlie Hill. I'm Oneida. My people are from Wisconsin. Well, we used to be from New York, but had a little real estate problem." So that was the first joke. And then his next joke was something, I'm paraphrasing a bit, but it was, you know, a lot of you probably never knew that American Indians were comedians. You know, you've probably never seen an Indian do stand-up before. Well, we never thought you were too funny either. And then that was the big laugh. You know, and that gave him a career. He did the Richard Pryor show in 77, and then he got Johnny Carson in 78, did Merv Griffin, Mike Douglas. Later, he did Late Night with David Letterman, Arsenio Hall, stuff like that. And
did he do the "Hey, how are you" joke?
Yeah.
That's him, right?
You know, I was waiting to say that.
You got scooped.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I stole your joke, Greg.
Wouldn't be the first time.
But through that whole period, he was like the only Native American comedian of any prominence. There were a few others, but he was the one that was put on TV. So most of the kids that I talked to, people who are in their 20s or early 30s, say that they saw him on TV, and then that was the moment they decided to do stand-up. You know, it was sort of like Eddie Murphy. If you talk to black comics of a certain age who started doing stand-up in the early 90s, they'll say Eddie Murphy. I saw Eddie Murphy, and then, you know, so you know, that's sort of the theme of the book, is that, you know, you see yourself reflected on TV, and it has this impact that influences the next generation of comedy.
Is he still with us?
No, he died in 2013. But you know, his career sort of faded towards the last few years of his life, like a lot of dudes of his generation. He was a Comedy Store guy from the 70s, and if you saw his act in 2009, he was still doing a lot of the same material he had done in the 70s. And so he wasn't really writing anymore. He didn't become a star, so he just kind of lost some of the motivation. And he was a little bit skeptical of some of the young kids who would come up to him and say, "Hey, you influenced me," because he wasn't sure if they were funny, and he didn't really want to take credit.
Can't be hanging out with no J-Browns.
Is that why he wasn't writing new jokes as well? He just wasn't sure they'd be funny.
Oh, yeah.
I was like, I'm a huge fan.
You're what, Brian?
I'm just kidding. I was one of those people who went up to him, but he was like, I can't endorse you yet.
How did you and Kliph connect?
My friend Jackie from San Francisco, or from the Bay, is who connected us, because she was in communication with you. Yeah. And I guess you guys were talking quite a bit.
Yeah, Jackie, I met Jackie. There's a channel, like a PBS sub channel, one of those, I don't even know if they're cable channels, but one of those channels that's like 8.2 instead of channel 8, FNX, and it's like a First Nations TV channel. And they did a bunch of stand-up tapings in San Bernardino 3 years ago when I started this project. So I took the train out there every weekend and went and saw all these tapings. And it was a lot of comedians that flew in from around the country to get their first TV exposure. And Jackie came down from Oakland to do that special. So I met her there. And then she told me about Brian, because I guess you had done, you did the comedy club in San Francisco at some point, right?
Yeah, I was just like visiting San Francisco and did some shows and met her.
Yeah. So she told me about you, and then I watched your stuff online. It was super funny. So that was that. Yeah.
It's cool how I feel like social media, like TikTok especially, has finally allowed for like a coalescing of different voices, like in communities. There's more of it's easier to search and find new people through like hashtags and stuff. And I've seen like a lot more, you know, Native American material is able to be shared that way. And I feel like that's been really helpful in terms of creating like a more of a presence, I guess, online and just in the comedy community in general.
I mean, something in Canada we have a channel called APTN which is First Nation stuff, and it's kind of cool. Like they have the news there is like so much stuff that you wouldn't see, even though like there are Indigenous issues front and center in our country. Like they're not really. They don't really get into it a lot of the time, but APTN goes really deep into what's going on in different parts, and they also have so many comedy shows like with people like Ryan McMahon and stuff, and then they also
Howie Miller.
Yeah, and they play Johnny Depp movies as well, which I think is a good way to make money off Johnny Depp, and what he's trying to do.
Wait. 3 ways to make money off Johnny Depp.
Nick, your insight into the programming of this network it's not what I expected. Do you have someone on the inside of the programming department at this network?
I mean, I could probably email somebody who catalogs, like does closed captioning for television.
Can I get them on Roku?
Yeah, man, you can get anything on Roku these days.
Wow.
So, Kliph, today's the day the book came out. I saw you've had some very huge people in the world of stand-up comedy endorsing and even doing a little of the work for you, promoting the book. Who's reached out or written about the book?
Well, currently Steve Martin is my hype man.
Hey.
He's been getting me all my press. He just keeps tweeting and retweeting and subtweeting. He's like a teenage girl out there, just like nonstop talking about the book. And he's been really amazing. I didn't know, like when you write a book, you always have to give blurbs from like authors or celebrities for the back cover, which always makes me sort of like nervous. I don't want to ask for favors, and what if they don't like it, and then they don't respond, you feel like an asshole. But I emailed Steve Martin, and he said, I didn't even tell him what it was about. I said, I got a new book coming out, do you want to take a look? And he wrote back, he was like, yes, do you need a blurb? What's it about? And I told him, I showed him a screenshot of the cover, which was designed by one of the comedians in the book, this guy, Ryan Redcorn, who's in a really funny sketch troupe called the 1491s. And Steve Martin wrote back, he goes, looks amazing. What a crazy, I don't know nothing about this. Please send it along. And I did. And like, he's just been my biggest supporter. He was my big supporter beforehand. For about 15 years, he and I have been like pen pals. And he was really big on my last book as well. But yeah, so he tweeted it out today that it was an important book and blah, blah, blah. And yeah, they slapped, actually, he gave me a blurb for the back cover. And then I sent it to the publisher. And then the publisher sent an image back to me with like a quote from the quote, like slapped on the front cover, like a sticker. And I was like, whoa, don't do that. Like, that's not what I asked him.
You'd like to change the name of your book to Steve Martin. That's it.
So I wrote back, I said, I don't know if that's cool. Like, I got to ask him first. And then, so I wrote back and I said, listen, this looks like exploitation, like pure and simple. I'm sorry. Like, if you don't want them to do this, I'll tell them to just like stop it right now. And he said, no, man, put my name on the front and try and sell some books. And so he's been nothing but supportive.
That's awesome. That's so
you email him and tell him I said hi?
No.
All right.
Not gonna happen.
Maybe he'll promote this show that we do every Tuesday.
Yeah.
Did you guys know this is such a I can't even believe I'm bringing this up, but it's just been on my mind. Leonardo DiCaprio is now as old as Steve Martin was in Father of the Bride. I just needed to get that out.
I gotta log off.
Get that off your chest.
So anyway.
I'm never gonna die.
What is it called? A wellness check? Hey, can we just do a wellness check tonight?
I just can't see Leonardo designing sneakers. I don't think he has it in him, just creatively. I don't think he could play that.
But I could see him going to the grocery store and grabbing some buns. You know what I'm talking about, folks?
Yeah. I don't think he can play like.
If they're not expired and if they're not too old, he likes young girls, is what I'm saying.
All right, this brings us to our first topic of the night. Our first question round. Speaking of Steve Martin, I was just rewatching and revisiting The Jerk, one of my all-time favorites. And as he's fallen down, he's having a bad moment. He takes a handful of articles.
Now I'm just imagining that character and falling down. Sorry, go ahead.
Oh, that would all. Come on, that really would have worked.
Leonardo DiCaprio in Plane, Trains, and Automobiles.
I don't. Do you think?
No, he doesn't have the chops for that kind of acting.
I know. I was picturing him in the candy role anyway.
He can't do one.
Yeah,
that's the next Scorsese. That's going to be DiCaprio and De Niro. planes, trains, and automobiles.
Oh
I
my
would watch
God.
that. That would be good. Because you know
Oh my
what? De Niro, he can play funny. I mean, what's the movie with him and Charles Grodin? That's a great movie.
Midnight Run.
Yeah.
Amazing movie. But
Midnight
that's
Run.
Yeah, that's been a while, Greg.
he's like a straight man in that. Then there's Analyze This, which he is funny.
I don't know about those movies.
Yeah, we're not going to talk about
No,
that.
sorry, I don't mean Analyze This. I totally didn't.
This is
mean
a comedy podcast.
I
We
meant
don't
Meet the Parents. He's really funny in Meet the Parents.
Still.
He's,
I mean,
Paul, you were getting into a subcategory or
I
a
was
category?
getting into a category that was going to be really, it's going to be really fun if we can get to there. What are the 4 items you grab from your house as you are disgraced and run out of your mansion? I'll go first. For example, I would take my nice espresso machine. I know that I would never buy another nice espresso machine if I was falling down like that. I would bring any commemorative swords with me. Also, can't replace a commemorative sword.
You have swords?
Yeah, this is shocking, actually.
I've got a sword, but
I did
if
not
I'm
pick you.
imagining
I never saw
I'm
you as a
imagining
sword
myself, imagining the situation. You two have amassed a fortune over a short period of time, and now you are a force out of your life, and you've got to take them with you.
I was going to say, I was looking around the house. I was like, I don't think I have 4 things of value.
Oh, I don't think they have to be of value. I don't think the chair he brought with him was particularly valuable, but he took it with. I'm also going to go with my grandmother's ashes. I would take those with, just because also you can't replace those.
You're all over the place on this. It's like,
Of course, these are my 4 items that I'm.
No, she was a samurai.
I'm grabbing them quick, and
No, she wasn't even ill or dying. He struck it rich, and he burned his grandmother's body.
all right. I like that.
and one thing I would take, I've got a cactus that I've had since I moved out on my own, and I would take it with me. It's staying with. I'm gonna get buried with this cactus.
So when you strike it rich, you're keeping this cactus, and then you take the cactus with you, and your grandmother who you had murdered.
Yes. Greg, what 4 items are you hustling out of?
My wizard hat, which at that point in time will be made of pure child's blood and silver.
Okay.
I will take I will take my life-size replica of Artax drowning in the bog, and I will take.
Wow, deep pull.
Yeah, I'm gonna win. I'm winning this competition.
Now, Paul, did you leak him the questions ahead of time?
It would never do that.
All right.
No, it would never do that.
I'll take Rip Taylor's mustache that I'll have, and how many is that? Is that 4?
That's-
And then
That's 3, I think.
That felt like 3.
I'll take Paul's entire family's ashes with me.
Oh my God.
You son of a bitch. Wow. Well, those all feel pretty useless. They're not going to help you out after the fall, but that's the whole point. Nick Flanagan, you've fallen from grace and are leaving your mansion with 4 items. What are they?
Murphy bed. Okay, so that's
a mobile Murphy bed.
I was like, hold on. I see what you're trying to do. You're trying to
build a new house.
Infinite wishes your way out of this genie's bottle or whatever.
No, I have a Murphy bed where the wall is removable.
I just like the delivery on Murphy bed, where you're like, Murphy bed?
Murphy bed, Pryor bed, what else? Mom's Mabry bed.
Your Dick Gregory bed.
Dick Gregory
God damn it.
And then I would take, I would have like BB-8. So yeah, you need someone like BB-8. He's got the lighter. So you got BB-8 and the Murphy bed, and then probably a DVD copy of, what's that movie? Aguirre, Wrath of God. Because I'd be in a tough spot, and it's a movie that is just so heavy, it would kind of be like,
Yeah, and now you need a DVD player and a TV, so.
Well, let me go. And of course, the 4th thing is the PlayStation 4. Am I right? They talk about the 5. For me, it ended
I
at,
was going to say.
like Star Trek. It ended at 4.
Matt McCarthy, you've fallen from grace and you're forced out of your mansion. What 4 things are you walking out of there with?
My Donkey Kong arcade machine. My.
Did you expect a round of applause for that?
That hit me like, oh, this is...
Really upset.
You're like,
Because it has to be on wheels if you're walking out with it.
Yeah, that's
Of course,
smart.
it's on wheels.
You can ride it.
Golden wheels made from the corpses of his enemies.
I would love that if I was like, living on the street, but I had a Donkey Kong machine, and anybody that walks by, I'd just be like, Donkey Kong kill screen coming up. Potential Donkey Kong kill screen coming up. Anybody interested? Too deep of a pull? Should I?
I mean, King of Kong,
I love saying that anytime somebody's playing a video game, regardless of the video game. I'm always like, whatever.
I'd say it during other movies in the theater. People hate it.
People are playing, Call of Duty. I'm like, Call of Duty kill screen coming up.
Candy Crush kill streak.
My amazing fantasy number 15.
Oh, wow.
Thank you.
I don't know what that is.
That's Spider-Man's first appearance.
Oh, wow.
Fucking idiot, Paul.
Wow. They don't teach anything in schools anymore.
No, sorry, guys.
God.
We went to a liberal school.
Wish I could think of it off the top of my head. There's it's like from the quad dead zone or something. It's if you Google what's the most valuable, Paul, come back. If you Google what's
Oh, man,
Confidence.
Sorry.
If you Google
most valuable what?
the most valuable VHS tape, it's some random awful horror movie. I have no idea.
Quad Dead Zone.
Yeah.
Weird.
Quad Dead Zone.
I don't know anything about it. I've seen a couple still frames of like a guy dressed like a clown, and I think he's murdering someone. And it's just, it truly is one of these, like, why is this valuable?
So you bring resellables, basically.
Um,
things to flip.
The box
No,
cover is
no,
$700.
that's part of my problem. I wouldn't sell them. I would still be living on the street holding on to them, being like, look at my shit.
This collector has one item, but it's the most valuable VHS.
Right. And then I would bring a mint on cards, Andre the Giant, L.I. Jen, L.I. Jen, why do I keep saying Jen? L.I.N.
Yeah, I have no idea what you're talking about.
Wrestling figure.
Like
the one where he's got
LJN?
the LJN. Thank
Yeah.
you. I couldn't say words.
The makers of the worst video games. Just a little.
Oh my God, so bad, right?
Yeah.
So there you go.
Those are your 4. Those are also all 4 very useless but perfect items. Great choices. Brian Bahe, after following a quick meteoric rise in fortune and fame, you've now lost it all and are forced to leave your mansion. What are the 4 items you're grabbing with you on the way out?
I would first grab one of those like industrial meat slicers, that they have at delis.
I sure do.
So I can cut meat, just like anything. You never know what you need thinly sliced these days. So that would come in handy. Maybe like some lotion. I have chronically dry skin, so some lotion.
Why is your skin so dry? It looks so good.
Not even just like, you can't see, the skin that you can't see is dry.
Ooh,
That's
a
a lot of
sensory.
It was
your skin.
It sounds like a challenge to Greg. He's like, I'm gonna see all your skin.
we're gonna
Oh,
figure
I'll
this
see
out.
that skin. I'll see it.
There was a point
You
a
just
few days
wait.
ago where you can't see it, but like there were tiny cuts on the end of all of my fingers because they was just like cracking and stuff.
Yeah.
Like I was just like
good.
bleeding, which is cool. The lotion, you know, I gotta go with my first dish of we had a little real estate problem.
Mhm.
Oh.
That's a yeah. They're not making second first edition. That's
Exactly.
second edition. Not the same.
That's gonna be valuable. And last thing, maybe like a wig. Like a blonde wig, just in case people are after me. You know?
Right. Yeah.
I
Creditors.
support that.
Yeah, you're so far the only one that's addressed what happened that may have forced you out of it. Probably is someone's after you. That's a good one. Thank you, Brian. James Fritz, you after a meteoric rise to the top, you've now fallen from grace. What are the 4 items you're taking with you on the way out?
Well, I'm gonna take my dignity because they can't take that away from me. Whitney Houston taught me that. I'm gonna take my 5 best friends so I can get back everything I lost. My sex appeal, and a copy of Kliph Nesteroff's new book, We Had a Little Real Estate. I mean, let's sell this book, people.
That's right.
That's it.
That's it. Was that 4? I feel like
That was 4. Short and sweet, baby.
There was 5 friends in there.
There were
That's sort
5.
of
It's 9.
That's sort of like that thing when you ask the genie for 100 wishes. It's not really, doesn't really count. I think you're being clever. But.
I never.
Maggie May, what 4 items are you taking with you on the way out the door from your mansion?
I would take, I've got a hat box that has a letter from my grandma, and it has like a Coach wallet, so I would grab that for sure. I would also grab a suitcase with $1 million worth of bear bonds in it because I'm not starting over. I would also take, let's see. I would take, let's see. I would also take It Easy.
That's right.
I'll lose my head about the whole thing. And then I would take, my Boys Night Out CD also. So I might be going to a deserted island. I'm sure that's one of the things that I'm allowed to take.
And it's
Those
in
are
a
all-
CD player, just to make that technicality work. So that you
Yeah, I would also bring a book, my favorite book. I don't know, I'll probably bring Runaway Jury.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah.
Oh, those are all great items, and I hope they serve you well. Kliph Nesteroff, your book is going to be a huge success. A wild fortune and fame, and then fortunately there will be some type of calamity, leaving you penniless and driven from your mansion. What are the 4 items you're taking with you on the way out the door?
Well, I really like that It Easy answer. Reminded me of like the bonus round on Match Game where they had like one letter and you had the 3 things. It Easy, To the Limit, Take It or Leave It.
Just Eagles lyrics.
They own that genre.
What would I take? I'm glad the shit that I would take is not going to be like the nerdiest list of this group of lists. Like that was amazing. I got an ashtray from a Flintstone theme park that I went to when I was 4. I might take that. When I was growing up, they had Flintstone theme park in Kelowna, British Columbia. For some reason, they had 4 Flintstone theme parks in the world, and they're all in shitty towns. And one I think still exists in Arizona, but it's like abandoned. But you can go there, and there's like structures that look like Barney Rubble's house, like in the desert.
Dinosaur.
Yeah, in Arizona. It's like really fucked up. And I think it was open up until like a couple of years ago, and they play the Flintstones theme on a continuous loop out of these speakers in the parking lot. I wouldn't take that. I would just take the ashtray from that place. What else? Oh, I got a sign on my fridge that I stole from a store in Toronto called Honest Ed's. Nick Flanagan can tell you about Honest Ed's, but it's like
world famous.
It's not world famous. Toronto famous. Come on.
Toronto institution closed recently. I'm just gonna leave it at that.
Yeah, but it was like a 50s department store that had like hand painted signs.
Yeah, I mean it was a really crazy structure that was huge. It took up tons of blockage and had like huge signs, lots of kitschy announcouncements like Honest Ed is like cheap. Yeah. You know, Honest Ed's a bird. He's cheap.
Yeah. Yeah. And it was like from the 50s. It was like a time capsule, and inside it was all decorated with old photos of like actors who had appeared in Toronto in like
he owned theaters and stuff. So
it would be like the Odd Couple, starring Tommy Smothers and Jamie Farr from MASH. You know?
And there'd be like there was even like a Raiders of the Lost Ark style like little like treasure room with a bunch of like strange antiques in it and stuff.
Yeah, so I have a sign, a hand-painted sign from the oven mitt department of Honest Ed's on my fridge. Oven mitt, 77 cents. I would take that. So the ashtray, the oven mitt sign, maybe a wife and kids, maybe.
Yes, that's sort of 4, maybe.
I don't know. I might only have a wife, or I would only have kids. I don't know. So.
Yeah, there's a lot of ways to unfold that package.
I would take a wiener dog. I would have a wiener dog, and I would take it with me for sure.
I like that you have a lot, and you would take one.
One wiener dog or one child?
You have a lot of wiener dogs. And you're like, I would take a wiener dog.
Oh, from the litter.
I would take the one that was either like the least problematic or the most sort of like protective of me. You know?
Or the one that people like the most, because then you could endear people to like, oh, you wanna hang out with my wiener dog? Give me something.
Well, who doesn't like a wiener dog though? Everybody likes a wiener dog.
Psychopaths, sociopaths, both the paths.
Yeah.
Pat.
Yeah. Very hard not to love them.
Yeah, ashtray, wiener dog, Honest Ed's, oven mitts, 77 cents, sale sign, and to the limit.
This is like the Manchurian Candidate activation phrase. Ashtray, wiener dog.
This is like that Trump.
The test.
Trump took. Yeah.
To me, it just sounds like you're going to make a YouTube show. Once you guys to get back in, it's like the background is like an ashtray and a little Honest Ed sign.
Oh yeah, I should put that up there. Yeah.
Hey guys.
I think you should put it on TikTok. I think it's better. It's easier to advertise to the niche audience on TikTok.
You're really pushing TikTok. Like, are you on TikTok, Paul? Or are you?
He works for Big Talk.
Yeah, that's what I thought. Thanks.
My grandfather was Donald TikTok, and look, I own a lot of the company, a sizable chunk, and I want everybody on TikTok because it's putting money in my bank.
They call me Mr. Talk.
Gary TikTok. Hold on. Oh, we've got a question from the chat. They want to know a curly wiener dog or a short hair wiener dog. This is a fantastic wiener dog specific question.
What is a curly wiener dog?
I don't think I've ever seen a curly wiener dog.
Nyah, like instead of barking. What is
that one? Take that one.
Take that one.
No, what is that though? What is a curly wiener dog? I did own wiener dogs at one point, but neither of them I think were ever referred to as curly. Like curly hair?
Yeah.
I don't know.
I got a dog with curly hair.
I've never
No,
seen
like
one
curly
actually.
fingernails, like in the Guinness Book of World Records.
Would you take an award-winning long-nailed fingernail dog or a regular wiener dog?
I want to change one of my answers to the bones of those two fat twins on the motorcycles because I will buy those bones. I don't want to take them with me.
Yeah, they had good fashion sense too.
They look cool to me.
Sunglasses, big cowboy hat. Check shirt.
The what? The heaviest twins? Is that their thing?
Right.
It was a different time.
It's a classic photo. That was the only reason to ever read the Guinness Book of World Records. And
I used to go to the school library and just look through those books.
But you don't remember the twins on the motorcycle?
No, I know the twins.
Oh,
I remember the twins. I just don't remember if it was they were just the heaviest twins. That was their thing.
I think so. I don't think they were the best motorcycle riders.
Most fashionable overweight twins.
Were they the inspiration for and twins? You remember that?
Yeah.
Yeah. What commercial what was that for? Who was selling us?
Doublemint gum?
Yeah, that was a take on the old Tom T. Hall classic. I like a little bit of the,
Here they are.
Let's go to our country
There
expert.
There they are. Oh,
God,
shit.
I love
There
that you
they-
had this.
Wow.
ready to
That's
go.
I mean, that just looks like where I grew up.
1990.
I had that same one.
God damn it.
had that
I remember exactly that one.
same one.
Yeah.
Oh my
Matthew
God.
McCarthy.
Wow.
I thought it was
They're
like
Ivar.
signed by Mr. Guinness.
Do you own a storage space?
Matt,
That is in his storage space.
Matt, I texted you the most expensive VHS on the internet, but then I'm like, maybe I don't have Matt's actual phone number anymore because I don't think I've texted you in like 15 years.
Oh no, I'm
Somebody
doing this
got
on
a
my
weird
phone.
text.
That's why I didn't look.
What was it?
It's Beauty and the Beast, the Black Diamond Classic.
Oh, brother.
And there's two. There's one on eBay for $239,000.
What?
This is
unopened.
Disney
And
people are insane.
There's one on Etsy at a steal for 50 grand.
No, this is some motherfucker.
There we go.
Yeah,
There was a blog
scam. The shell
you have-
case scam.
This you have no idea how often this comes up in like VHS tape trading like groups and stuff.
You're right. We have no idea.
Yes.
Some motherfucker wrote a blog post about this, being like, "Oh, the Black Diamond Disneys are super rare and valuable," because it's one of these things. I remember one time I was at a comic book store, and my buddy Mark, who owns the comic book store, Time Capsule, Seekonk, Massachusetts. They also have a location in Cranston, Rhode Island. He's on the phone, and the guy's like trying to sell him. He's like, "Yeah, I got this special edition issue of the Tick. It goes on eBay for $200." And Mark's saying, all I hear is Mark's side of the conversation. He goes, "Yeah, does it go for $200, or do people just have it listed for $200? I'm telling you, it's worthless." So,
God damn.
but every so often on like these forums and like Facebook groups, somebody will be like, "Hey, I have a bunch of Disney," and they like, "How much are these Disney tapes worth?" And they just get. I feel bad because it's just like blood in the water, and all these like really gnarly VHS nerds are just like, "Oh, they're worth like $1 million. You should put it on eBay right now, dude."
To get fleeced by a bunch of the damn VHS nerds, it's just got to feel. Can you come back from that?
I sold my record collection before I moved to Los Angeles because it's heavy and you can't move with records. And I always thought I had a super valuable record collection, and I didn't. I had all these jazz records with like red translucent vinyl from the 50s, and I thought they were really valuable. And they would go for like $1, and then I'd put like 100 together, and they would go for like $90. Then you got to fucking ship them and like tape them and grade them and then send them, and then people complained or like it didn't show up. Blah 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 blah.
Message with the person.
It was such a nightmare, and everything I had was not valuable except for one 45, which I sold for like $900. One song to a guy in Sweden. I kind of made
Beauty
up
and
for
the Beast soundtrack.
That's right. Yeah.
It was Be Our Guest, and on the other side, Be Our Guest instrumental.
Yeah, it was the read-along book to the Rescuers. Yeah.
I'll never forget the feeling before you go to sell stuff at the record store, or the DVD store or whatever, and the feeling afterwards.
That was it's a quick lesson in capitalism at a young age.
It's like,
You're like, get used to this feeling, buddy.
right. You mean this isn't worth anywhere near the $9 I bought it for?
Books are like that too. You can't even get $1 for a book. It's a bummer.
The only
Well, speaking of
trick
books,
is
I want to talk again
Right.
to Kliph a little bit more about the book. Kliph, when you started writing this book and putting together, obviously you are collecting other people's words. A lot, Brian contributed to this. Who did you feel like you were writing this for, or who did you hope the audience was going to be reading this book?
Well, I never really thought about anything like that, and still don't. I really like to write or showcase stories that people generally don't know or they get overlooked. You know, like when I was doing stand-up, I'd read all the books about comedy. Most of them were all the same. A lot of the history books tell the same stories. A lot of them seemed like aphorisms. Like this book, I talk about Will Rogers, and everybody knows the name Will Rogers, and everything I thought I knew about him was sort of corny and hokey. Oh, he was a simpleton, all-American humorist in the 30s. You see a statue of him. You see a thing named after him. He just seemed kind of lousy. And then I looked into him. He was, like a proud Cherokee dude. His whole family had been, his grandfather had been involved in the Trail of Tears when they came to Oklahoma. A lot of people perished along the way. Well, he had a lot of weird tragedies in his life. He was sort of this depressed dude. He got into a big scandal in 1934 when he used the N-word on the radio 4 times and refused to apologize for it. And all these stories, I never heard these stories before, and yet I hear that name Will Rogers all the time. So I'm always trying to find like those stories that are sort of fall through the cracks, sort of. But I don't think of it as having an audience in mind. It's more just, I want to tell history that is interesting and not boring, because I'm a bad history student traditionally, and because it's boring. When it's taught to you, it's boring. So.
But you've been doing this. You've been doing this kind of work since your zine, right?
Yeah, I can't believe you remember that.
Of course I remember. It was called Generation. Was it Generation? What was it called again? Like.
Don't pretend you don't know, Nick. Come on.
I know, that was very clever.
Show the T-shirt.
Generation something.
Yeah, Generation Exploitation. It was a cut
Generation Exploitation
zine with a glue stick.
Oh, hell yeah.
Yeah, that's amazing that you remember that. Wow.
Well, zinesters gotta remember. We zinesters.
It was full of VHS reviews, for Christ's sake. There was even, I think a thing that I talked about, buying some fucking shitty VHS at Honest Ed's.
Yeah, they had a hilarious VHS. My dad used to actually buy, way back in the day, like old VHS, like of classic movies, even some foreign movies, but they would be sold in like unlabeled brown plastic cases, just with like, you could write the title on it yourself or whatever. It was like,
love that.
And you also, but you were doing the WFMU blog as well, right?
Yeah.
And the radio show.
Yeah, I got hired by WFMU back in, that's how I know Steve Martin. I got hired by WFMU back in 2006 to write for their website. And
oh, you wrote the Shecky Green one.
Yeah, that was me.
Yeah, that one's great. Sorry. I was like, oh shit. Yeah.
Yeah, no, it was cool. Like they had a built-in audience already of like cool people. So you just, I had this built-in audience without having to build anything myself. Wrote articles for it. Got quite a bit of like a little cult following out of it. And one of the articles I wrote, if you want the Steve Martin origin story, Tommy Smothers from the Smothers Brothers. I had met him when I was doing stand-up, and I had this record that I bought in a thrift store called "You Can't Beat People Up and Have Them Say I Love You." It was from 1968, and it was this guy.
I love that.
It had this weird cover of this sort of older dude, but a psychedelic kaleidoscopic cover, and this guy was in tinted yellow glasses. He obviously looked like an old guy trying to be a hippie. And then when you listen to the record, it was him like almost doing an impression of Lenny Bruce, trying to be like, "Hey man, you ever smoke a banana peel?" And then it was all material like that. And then each joke, the punchline would have like reverb. There would be an echo on the punchline, and then music would play, and then he'd go back into the next joke. anyways, this record had liner notes by Tommy Smothers. So I remember meeting him and being like, what the fuck is up with this record? You wrote the liner notes? And he goes, oh, that was a writer on the Smothers Brothers. He became an opening act for The Who, but he died young. And he was writing partners with Steve Martin, like in 1968 or something. And I was like, wow. So when I went back to doing WFMU stuff shortly thereafter, I wrote an article about this guy, Murray Roman, with a link to the record and all that stuff. And I interviewed Tommy Smothers over the phone, and he said, you should talk to Steve Martin, because he would know more than I do. And I was like, I don't really have a line on Steve Martin. He goes, I'll phone him and tell him to call you. And he did. Like a half hour later, Steve Martin called me and was like, I hear you're writing an article about Murray Roman. And so we stayed in touch ever since then. It was a WFMU article back in.
That's what they think of Steve Martin.
Uh-oh. Yeah. That dog hates independent radio.
I like this as a tip for people.
That dog always liked Dickie Smothers best.
A good tip for people to like meet a very famous, influential person is find out something very obscure about them that they want to be involved in, and give them access to it.
True.
That's a great angle, and Greg knows because he's catfished countless celebrities.
Non-stop. My whole life is surrounded by celebs that I've completely catfished with, like, oh, you like polenta? Guess who makes the best polenta now?
Yeah, the way to get celebrities' friendship is by inviting them to your
I gotta go do bedtime, but I love you all very, very much.
All right, buddy.
You love me, Matt. Normally his son comes down, Brian, and we all get to say goodnight to him. Jack, I'm sorry you didn't get to meet Jack. He's sort of an unofficial part of the show, but he's very cute. He's blonde, as you can imagine. Brian, when how did you feel participating in this book? Sort of like trying to tell the story of Native Americans through the history and then bring it into today. And how was it for you as a contemporary comedian to add your voice to sort of like the history book of like part of your culture in comedy?
I mean, I feel like during the interview, I didn't really understand like the scope of how like complex and like researched the entire book would be. And so I was just kind of like doing my whole like, yeah, this is who I am. I'm just like some random idiot essentially. But like I've only read like the first part of the book, and it's just like it starts from the beginning, and there's this like story about like this like I don't know what he is, the vaudeville guy who was like a part of that like traveling show, but he was supposed to be like the first stand-up, but then he like got swept away in a river or something like that.
Yeah,
like that's wild. That's insane.
Yeah, that's a tough gig. That's a tough.
But I was like, the fact that
that's living the dream. That's me.
To read about that though, I'm just like, holy shit, like this is crazy to know that like the history goes back so far, and I'm just like, this is it's cool to just like have like be mentioned among so many other amazing Native comedians.
Yeah, it's weird to think of yourself in the historic context of what you're a part of, because you're doing it right now, and you're I think we all kind of feel the same way. We all feel like idiots. And no one feels like they belong on this stage at all, even half the time. But thanks for coming on the show, Brian. It's great to have you, and thank you, Kliph, for joining us on In the Green.
Thank you, guys.
my pleasure.
We want to encourage everybody to check out We Had a Little Real Estate Problem. You can purchase this, I'm sure, on Amazon.
Is there an audiobook?
Yeah, you can buy it. You can shoplift it. You can
library.
Every library in North America, college library, military libraries have it, which is I don't even know what it means. I don't even know.
Is there an audiobook?
There's an audiobook. There's even on Amazon. Like I'm not like involved in the obviously manufacturing I haven't been since Cut and Paste.
I mean, you're not a child. You're obviously not manufacturing this
But
book.
you can also get the audiobook apparently on compact disc. I don't know.
Nice.
What?
Who?
Can you get it on VHS?
Yes.
Yeah, Matt will watch it.
Yeah.
Matt will watch your book.
Who narrates the audiobook?
One of those big puffy snap cases.
Do you narrate the audio?
Yeah, I narrate it. Yeah.
Wow.
Great.
Now you can get old Steve to come by and do a couple chapters.
They pay you to do it, so I was like, "Oh, I desperately need the money." I had a lofty idea. I was like, "I'm going to hire an indigenous actor to do it. You know, that way, if they fuck up the names, they get blamed, not me, and it'll be like, all these things." And then I ran out of money.
Yeah, and then as a true white man, you're like, I'll take the money.
Yeah, exactly.
I ran out of money, but there was money to be had easily.
It covered 1 month of rent, so
High overhead there in Los Angeles.
yeah.
I think the economy is going to get so bad people write books just to narrate the audiobooks to pay rent.
I think that's a great idea.
Well, that got a laugh. I'm writing that one down. All right.
I'd love to see how you adapt that one-off into your set. And I think you'll all have the opportunity to check that out. We'll be doing another live stand-up comedy show with the Avail Comedy Performance Group later. Performance Group. Watch. Good God.
Whoa, what
Later
are we?
this month.
That's not the name we agreed on.
Well, I mailed you all matching leotards. We're a troupe now.
We're a troupe. Check us out on our social media to find out when those dates are to get tickets. We'd love to see you there. Thanks so much. We'll see
And
you
Brian,
next time.
sorry, Brian.
Go ahead.
Is there anywhere we can see your stand-up that you would direct us toward?
I mean, I have some clips on my website. It's just brianbahe.com, and then socials.
Bahe.
Yes. And yeah, social is at Brian_Bahe.
There's a great set of Brian's at Union Hall on YouTube, which is
Awesome.
fantastic.
Sweet.
Okay.
Cool.
Love Union Hall.
If you want to check out Brian and Kliph, you can check out. We'll have their social media linked on ours as well. And we'll see you all next time in the Green Zoom.
Bye.
Bye.
Gang, thank you for watching. Hello to the